Japanese judo has a problem. In 2019, Leonie Cysique came to Japan and threw their ace Tsukasa Yoshida for a huge ippon. Although Yoshida got a win back in early 21, Cysique returned later that year and beat Yoshida once again in Japan. So who is going to stop Leonie Cysique? So let's go back to the past. This is 2018 at the World Junior Judo Championships. Haruka Funakubo was already a two-time World Junior Judo Champion, and she was going for her third gold. And in her way in this final was none other than Leonie Cysique. So as you can see, nice sumi-gaeshi turnover by Cysique. Now we usually see the Japanese girls passing the French girls half guard in this position, but in this case, Cysique was able to slide out the back door. Funakubo with a clever little bit of ashiwaza and was able to move into ude-gatame for the win. This made her the first judoka in history to win 3 World Junior Judo Championships. Fast forward to 3 years later, and it's 2021 in Paris. Haruka Funakubo went to France. She had 4 matches. She beat everybody by ippon, including 2 French ladies. But of course, Leonie Cysique was resting up after her Olympic successes. So this time, Funakubo went back in 2022, and Cysique was also in action. So here's match 1, Funakubo taking it to an African judoka and securing a very strong osai komi hold down. Cysique was also impressive in her first match, pulling off the day's biggest ippon in the 57 kilo class with a nice sasai tsurikomi ashi. In the quarter-final, Haruka Funakubo once again impressed with her pinning skills. Here she is going for her trademark Funakubo gatame. She's able to break the opponent down, keep her on the ground. She got stuck in half guard, so she had to transition to an ude-gatame. Goes in under the elbow, uses her own lapel to secure the arm, and then uses the free hand to fight the knee out and move to osai komi. Cysique also had an osai komi victory in her quarter-final match. Here you see her turning, passing and pinning the Mongolian judoka. These two would then meet in the semi-final. So I was very impressed with Funakubo in this match. She seemed very comfortable with the grip fighting. Although Funakubo is known as a newaza specialist, she showed a good ability to constantly keep Cysique off balance with switches between ochigari and kochigari like you just saw there. The real contrast between Funakubo in the 57 kilo and Masako Doi, who was in the 63 kilo division on the weekend. Both are known as newaza specialists, but in the case of Doi, she really doesn't have much to offer in tachiwaza. The main thing that's helping her in tachiwaza is her reputation as a newaza specialist that the other judokas are just so fearful of
mettre de la distance avec cette main
attempting
gauche là,
a
sa main
throw
gauche elle est dans le
against
dos,
her that
ça gêne
they know
absolument
that
pas
if
la
it
japonaise.
fails, they're likely to
Et
be
le
turned
problème
and
c'est qu'elle
pinned.
peut attaquer comme ça.
In Funakubo,
On sent
there isn't
qu'elle
as
joue avec
much
sa jambe
fear
droite, on sent que
of
ça
the
va démarrer
newaza.
Higuchi,
Not all of her
Uchimata,
newaza
Tengoshi, mais ça va
attacks
démarrer.
result in victory. You see
Allez, décrochez.
Cysique a few times in this match tried to lift Funakubo.
C'est mieux chasser un peu cette main
Difference between
avant qu'elle s'accroche au kimono.
Funakubo and Yoshida is Yoshida's left-handed judoka, left leg forward. So this makes it a little bit more tricky for Cysique to pull off quick attacks like we saw at the beginning of
Elle est
this
gênée
video.
par cette main droite, hein, Sarah. Elle est vraiment gênée.
C'est peut-être le moment de jouer son va-tout, mais d'essayer de déclencher
I was
quelque
very
chose.
impressed with Funakubo's grip fighting. The judo club she trains at in Japan is now being led by Chizuru Arai. Chizuru was a left-handed judoka who was excellent at dominating righties. Funakubo is doing a great job dominating a lefty here. He just doesn't have the beautiful uchimata that Chizuru Arai possessed. So this match did go into the golden score period, so stamina did become an issue as the match went on. This was Cysique's first outing since the Olympics, and she really seemed to burn herself out on that uranage attempt there. Really took her a long time to get off the mat after this one. And it was at this point in the match that it was really beginning to look more and more likely that it would be Funakubo who would get revenge for Japan in this one. Although I must say, if you saw Bouchard's matches on the weekend, Bouchard also looked exhausted at times in her matches with Aisha Shime and Krasniqi of Kosovo. And then she came back with a huge ippon in both of those matches. Once again, Cysique really looking to take all the time in the world to get back into action here. I've noticed the golden score periods are usually finishing a lot more quickly now that the women aren't allowed to waste time fixing their hair, which was a big feature of certain judokas over the last few years. For example, Taimazova. Russia. Now we're moving into the end of the match, uses an ude-gatame to pin her to the ground, switches to hand control, and Cysique, clearly nothing in the tank, clearly wanted to save everything she had for the bronze medal match, which we'll look at next. The bronze medal match is worth checking out. Lots of nice camera angles and a very nice finish. So that's Funakubo's big win against Leonie Cysique. Do you think Funakubo is going to take the #1 position in the Japan team from Tsukasa Yoshida? I believe Funakubo won her most recent match against Jessica Klimkate, who's the current world champion in that division. Yoshida had lost her last 2 matches against Klimkate. There are other elite judoka to take into consideration. I don't think Nora Jakova's faced Funakubo yet. Nora Jakova, of course, defeated Tsukasa Yoshida at the Olympics. And the other big one to take into consideration is Krista Deguchi. I think Deguchi has wins over Funakubo. She also has wins over Yoshida, but I think in Yoshida's case it's more 50-50. So Cysique came out in the bronze medal match, looked very impressive, beating fellow countrywoman Mokdar. We'll have a look at some nice techniques from Mokdar later in the video. Here's the best non-scoring technique. I was a bit surprised that this wasn't considered hansoku make for head diving, but it might be that the ref thought this was a newaza attack rather than a throw, as it did take a little while to adjust the technique for launching the Korean in the air. Here's the best turnover to pin.
Là, on a
This
plus le
is
profil
from
du match où
Vellozzi, I
il y en a un
believe
qui
she
arrive
was
qui est un
a,
petit
I believe she's
sur la
a
réserve
French
et puis l'autre,
judoka.
il met la main, il déclenche.
So
Voilà, donc ça a
lovely
surpris Vincent.
spinning transition
Alors espérons pour lui que
in mid-air to get the
un
turn.
bon réveil.
Voilà, une petite piqûre de
Took
rappel.
her some time to get a second turn. Finally established Osai Komi. Now this wasn't a super tight sankaku. Somebody asked in the comments on one of the recent videos about what I mean when I say a sankaku is tight. Basically I mean that the lock is quite strong around the arm and head. And you'll notice here that the African judoka is able to use the trapped arm to hold on and fight against her opponent's Osai Komi attempt. So in this case, this isn't a very tight sankaku, but it was effective in securing the ippon, awasete ippon, after two waza aris, because as there was an escape in between. Here's the best sankaku gatame escape of the day. That's Momo Tamaoki of Japan, moving in on Mokdar of France. There will be some highlights of Mokdar coming up. So here's a nice ude-gatame from the Mongolian representative, and I'm not gonna risk embarrassing myself by trying to pronounce her name. Here we have a smartphone falling from the blue judogi
Pour la suite,
of the French judoka. Notice how Tamaoki's not bothered with the sankaku attempt. She's more interested in grabbing the phone.
Des hauts et des bas.
And now we can have a look at the secret plan for the golden score that this judoka may have had. So there have been a couple of incidents where people have brought smartphones onto these matches,
Ah mais totalement, de toute façon.
and it's always been a very
Ouais, puis ça va,
embarrassing
du mental,
way to get DQ'd. Hopefully
Le
we
judo,
won't see
l'avantage c'est
it
ça, hein,
again in the next cycle, but we probably will. And here's the best juji-gatame escape of the day. So Momo Tamaoki moving in for the juji-gatame. Korean judoka does a good job. Stops the leg coming over and is able to get her elbow out.
match pareil. Hein,
So here's the final clip of this video. Lovely transition from a throw into a sankaku turnover. Rafaela Silva traps the leg, so she's got to pass the guard. I remember watching this on the official commentary, and
change les sens.
the commentator was saying that Mokdar was just wasting time and just trying to do enough to get her opponent disqualified rather than try and win the match. And then when she got to newaza, he said that she wasn't going to be able to pass half guard. But she did it, did show she could win this match without needing the referee's assistance. It was Rafaela Silva who needed the referee to get Mokdar off her.